Tonight is not like other nights. It carries the weight of ages, the whisper of prophecies, the tremor of things long set in motion. The hour has come when the unseen will break into the seen, when the tides will shift, and the world you knew at sunset will not be the same by sunrise. This is the night when hidden doors swing open and ancient gates are shut, when the plans of men are overturned by the hand of the unseen. You have been brought to this moment by no accident, for everything will change. This night, everything will change this night. The night of turning there are nights when the world sleeps and nothing moves beyond the rhythm of the clock. And then there are nights that divide history. Nights that draw a line in the sand where what was before will never again be after. Tonight is such a night. It is the night of turning. The night when the river of time bends, when the current that carried you in one direction shifts, pulling you into another. There are moments appointed from before your birth, woven into the design of your days, where the paths of heaven and earth meet, and this is one of them. It is not a night born of chance, but of purpose. It is the night when the script written in secret comes into the light, when the author turns the page, and the scene you've known fades into another you have not yet imagined. Such nights do not come often. They came to the people standing on the shores of the Red Sea, when the waters that had blocked their way split apart, and the enemies behind them were swallowed. They came to shepherds in a darkened field, when the sky broke open with angels, and their quiet routine was forever shattered by a single birth. They came to prisoners in the midnight hour, when chains fell, doors swung open, and freedom became their new name. These nights come with no warning to the unwatchful, but to those who are awake, they are recognized as the moment of divine interruption. The night of turning does not ask for your permission, it arrives by decree. It comes to dismantle what has been and to lay the foundation for what will be. It does not bow to the will of kings or the pride of rulers. It moves according to a higher order. In such a night, the proud are brought low, and the humble are lifted up. In such a night, the plans you clung to may be scattered, yet what is scattered will make way for the plan you were born for. This is the night when the season of hiding ends, and the season of revealing begins. The tide that kept you trapped on the shore begins to recede, making a way where there was none. But the night of turning is not always gentle. It comes with the breaking of old vessels, with the tearing of war, not garments, with the shaking of foundations that cannot hold the weight of the new. It will expose what is false, test what is true, and strip away what cannot stand in the dawn that follows. You may feel the tremor of it already, the sense that something is shifting in the air, that the familiar ground beneath your feet is not as steady as it was. The conversations you had yesterday do not seem to matter tonight. The fears that once chained you are beginning to loosen, not because they have disappeared, but because they no longer have the right to bind you. The night of turning is not about comfort, it is about transformation. It is the night when the caterpillar becomes the butterfly, but only after the cocoon is torn apart. It is the night when the prisoner becomes the leader, but only after the cell door is broken. It is the night when the overlooked becomes the chosen, but only after the heavens announce the choice. For some, the night of turning will come as deliverance, for others as a reckoning. The same wind that parts the sea for the faithful will close it over the heads of the oppressor. The same light that guides the wanderer will expose the deeds of the pretender. This is why such nights are feared by some and longed for by others. They are the moments when heaven enforces its verdict on earth, when what was tolerated for a season is brought to an end, and what was promised for generations is brought forth. It is not the night for hesitation. It is not the night to hold to the old out of fear of the new. This is the night to step forward when the door swings wide, to speak the word when your voice is called for, to lay down the weights you have carried because they cannot cross with you into the dawn. The night of turning is always preceded by a season of preparation, whether you recognized it or not, Every trial you faced, every delay that frustrated you, every detour that made no sense, all of it was leading you here. You were being positioned for this moment. The ground was being cleared, the pieces aligned, the timing perfected. You may think you are not ready, but readiness in such a night is not about your strength, it is about your willingness. The question is not whether you are able, it is whether you will respond when the call comes. For the night of turning comes only once in a season, and if you miss it, it will not be found again until its appointed time. Tonight the pen of history is in motion. The page is being turned, the ink is being laid down, and your part in the story is being written. You cannot see the whole script, but you can see the signs, the convergence of moments too precise to be coincidence, the closing of doors you never thought would shut, the opening of paths you never knew existed. The night of turning is both an ending and a beginning, both a burial and a birth. What is buried tonight will not rise again. What is born tonight will grow into the dawn, but you must choose your place in it. Will you resist the shift, clinging to what was, or will you let go and step into what will be? This night calls for courage, not the absence of fear, but the resolve to move forward despite it. It calls for vision, not sight with the eyes, but sight with the spirit, seeing beyond the darkness into the light that waits. It calls for surrender, not the giving up of the battle, but the yielding of the battle to the one who commands the night. For when the night of turning comes, your part is not to control it, but to walk through it. The waves may rise, the winds may roar, but they cannot overturn the decree that this is the hour, this is the place, this is the night. And so, as the clock moves forward and the shadows lengthen, remember, what you see now will not be what you see when the sun returns. The night is not here to destroy you, it is here to deliver you. The shaking is not here to break you, it is here to awaken you. The ending you feel is not your ruin, it is your release. This is the night when the weight of the past falls away, when the chains you thought were permanent are shattered, when the journey you feared to begin becomes the only path you can walk. Everything will change this night, because this night is the night of turning. The pattern of the ancient days, there is nothing happening this night that has not in some form happened before. The pattern is ancient, older than kingdoms, older than empires, older than the stones that mark the ruins of history. It is the way of heaven to move in cycles, to weave the threads of time so that what has been echoes again, not as repetition, but as fulfillment. The ancients knew this, for they watched the seasons turn, the moon wax and wane, the harvests come and go. They understood that history is not a straight line that moves without meaning, but a great tapestry where threads cross again at appointed points. This night is one of those points. It stands in the pattern of the ancient days, the nights when God's hand reached into time and turned the course of nations. As it was in Egypt, when a people bound in chains were told to mark their doorposts with blood, knowing that by morning the angel of death would pass and freedom would come. As it was in Babylon, when a hand appeared writing on the wall, declaring the fall of a king before the night had ended. As it was in Jerusalem, when a man prayed in anguish in a garden, and the destiny of the world shifted before the sun rose. These were not random moments, they were the convergence of divine timing and human history. And the same pattern that shaped those nights shapes this one. The pattern of the ancient days is one of preparation, fulfillment, and completion. The preparation is often unseen years, even decades of silent movements, small decisions, hidden battles. It is the aligning of events that seem unconnected until in a single night they collide. Think of Joseph, forgotten in a prison cell, unaware that a dream given in his youth was about to come to pass because a king needed an interpreter before morning. Think of Esther living in a palace she had not sought, unaware that her people were marked for destruction and that her position was not an accident but an assignment. In each of these moments, the pattern was the same. God had been moving the pieces long before the players knew the game was underway. Tonight, the same is true. What you have endured, what you have lost, the roads you have walked that seem to lead nowhere, all of it, has been part of a design older than you, older than your enemies, older than the struggle itself. In the pattern of the ancient days, the night is the womb of the morning. Darkness is not the absence of God, but the place where he works most silently, most powerfully, without interference from the noise of men. That is why great changes so often come at night. The Exodus began under the cover of darkness. The prison doors opened for Paul and Silas at midnight. The Redeemer was born while the world slept. The same clock that struck for them is striking again tonight. The same hands that parted the sea are parting the waters before you. The same voice that called light out of darkness is speaking into the shadows now. This pattern also carries with it a warning, for just as it brings deliverance to some, it brings judgment to others. Pharaoh's palace heard the cries of loss that night, while Israel sang songs of freedom. Babylon's banquet hall was filled with fear when the writing on the wall declared its end, even as another kingdom rose. The night can be both the lifting and the lowering, the saving and the sweeping away. And so the question tonight is the same as it was in those ancient days. On which side of the pattern will you stand? Will you be among those who awaken to a new dawn, or among those who discover too late that the night has passed them by? The pattern of the ancient days is not broken by the arrogance of kings or the schemes of men. It moves with the precision of the stars, with the certainty of the tide. It does not bend to pride, and it does not delay for doubt. If the appointed time has come, the night will do its work. This is why the prophets of old spoke of watchmen on the walls, because those who see the signs must call out to those still sleeping. They must declare that the turning point is here, that the appointed moment has come, that the pattern is unfolding again before our eyes. And if you are hearing these words tonight, it is because you have been summoned to see it, to stand in it, to move with it. Look back through the corridors of time, and you will see the fingerprints of the same pattern over and over again. Noah building an ark before the flood came, Moses confronting Pharaoh before the first plague struck, David anointed king while still tending sheep. In every case, there was a moment when the unseen became visible, when the long, hidden reason for every trial, delay, and test was revealed. That moment was the night of change, and it never arrived without first being part of the greater pattern, and so it is tonight. The struggles that made no sense will find their meaning. The delays that seemed like denials will reveal themselves as preparation. The closed doors that made you weep will be shown to have protected you from paths you were never meant to walk. In the pattern of the ancient days, there is always a crossing from one season to the next, from bondage to freedom, from exile to homecoming. That crossing is never without cost. Israel left Egypt, but had to let go of the comfort of familiarity. Ruth left Moab, but had to abandon the life she once knew. The disciples left their nets, their boats, their livelihoods to follow the one who would turn the world upside down. So it will be tonight. The pattern does not allow you to carry the old into the new. What belongs to the past must stay in the past. The bitterness, the fear, the grudges, the identities shaped by pain, they cannot cross over with you. The night will strip away what cannot stand in the morning light. Understand this, the pattern is both ancient and unchanging because it is rooted in the character of the one who wrote it. He has not forgotten the promises spoken over you. He has not abandoned the words he gave you in the quiet. The pattern is proof that he finishes what he starts. It is proof that no season lasts forever, that every winter gives way to spring, that every exile has an appointed end. And when the moment comes when the ancient clock strikes, nothing can stop it, not the might of armies, not the wealth of empires, not the darkness of the night itself. And so, as this night unfolds, remember, You are standing in the same current that carried the people of old from one side of history to the other. The same God who wrote their stories is writing yours. The same pattern that turned their night into the dawn is moving in your life now. This is not a coincidence. This is not a random shift. This is the unfolding of something set in motion before you took your first breath. The pattern of the ancient days has reached its appointed moment in your life. And before this night is over, you will know that everything has changed not by your strength, not by your striving, but because the ancient pattern has brought you to the place where destiny meets time, and time bows to the will of the one who rules it all. The unmasking, there are nights when the darkness hides what cannot be seen in the day, and there are nights when that very darkness becomes the stage where truth is revealed. This is such a night. The unmasking is not gentle, it does not whisper. It is the tearing away of coverings, the stripping off of disguises, the exposure of what has been hidden in plain sight. For too long, the masks have remained masks of honor that hid corruption, masks of friendship that hid betrayal, masks of humility that hid pride, masks of strength that hid fear. But the decree has gone forth. The time for pretending has ended. This night will pull back the curtain, and what has been concealed will stand in the open. The pattern of the ancient days always brings us here to the moment when truth confronts illusion. It was this way when Nathan the prophet pointed his finger at King David and declared, "You are the man." It was this way when the false prophets of Baal danced before their altar, calling on a God who did not answer, while Elijah stood alone and the fire of heaven exposed the lie. It was this way when the Son of Man overturned the tables in the temple, laying bare the greed that had clothed itself in religion. Tonight stands in that same stream of reckoning. The hour has come for the unmasking. The unmasking is never comfortable because masks serve a purpose. They hide the inconvenient. They protect the guilty. They preserve the illusion. But illusions cannot stand in the presence of light. When the unmasking comes, the face beneath is shown for what it truly is, and no amount of denial can put the mask back on. For years, the false may have prospered. The liar may have spoken without challenge. The pretender may have stood in the place of the rightful, but tonight the season of hiding is over. Like the moment when Joseph's brothers stood before him, unaware that the ruler of Egypt was the one they had betrayed, the truth will rise and take its place in the center of the room. The same mouths that spoke falsely will be silenced. The same hands that moved in darkness will be revealed, and those who have been faithful in secret will be brought into the light. This is not only the unmasking of people, it is the unmasking of situations, of systems, of hearts. Lies that have been spoken over you will be shown for the fabrications they are. Stories twisted to destroy you will unravel in the telling. The narratives crafted to protect the guilty will collapse under the weight of truth. This night is the great reversal, when the oppressed are vindicated and the oppressor's power is stripped. It was this way in the courts of Persia, when Haman's plot to destroy the Jews became the very trap that took his own life. It was this way when Daniel's accusers were thrown into the den they had prepared for him. And it will be this way again, for truth is not a passing trend. It is the foundation of the one who governs all nights and days. Yet understand, the unmasking will not only come to others, it will come to you as well. For there are masks we wear even before God, masks of strength that hide our wounds, masks of control that hide our fear, masks of busyness that hide our emptiness. This night calls for your own unveiling. The chains that hold you are often strengthened by the masks you wear to conceal them. But freedom comes when the truth is laid bare, when you can stand in the light without the pretense, without the performance, without the false layers you thought were protection. The same God who exposes the works of darkness will also heal the wounds the darkness caused. The unmasking is not for your humiliation, but for your restoration. For what is revealed can be healed. What is hidden festers in silence. The unmasking is a dividing line. When the truth comes forth, there is no going back to ignorance. The eyes that have seen cannot unsee, the ears that have heard cannot unhear. This is why the night of unmasking is both liberating and terrifying. It frees those who have lived under deception, but it also demands that they now live according to the truth they know. Israel could no longer long for Egypt once they had seen the sea close over Pharaoh's army. Peter could no longer pretend he did not know the truth once the rooster crowed. Saul could no longer be the same man after the light blinded him on the road to Damascus. And you will not be the same after this night. When the unmasking comes, it comes swiftly. The facade can stand for years, even decades, but when the appointed moment arrives, the fall is sudden. Like the walls of Jericho collapsing at the blast of the trumpet, the structures of falsehood crumble without warning. This is why the unmasking is feared by those who dwell in the shadows, because it does not negotiate. It does not allow for gradual exposure or controlled revelation. It is total, it is immediate, and when it happens, the truth is not just seen, it is undeniable. The hand of God removes the veil, and no human hand can pull it back down. Tonight is a night when the light will search the hidden places. It will move through the rooms of power, through the halls of influence, through the conversations whispered in corners. It will search the secret motives, the buried intentions, the unseen agreements. And it will not stop until every mask is removed. Some will rejoice at what is found, others will tremble, but all will know that the time of pretense has ended. The crowns that were stolen will be returned. The titles that were falsely claimed will be stripped. The positions that were taken through deceit will be emptied, and those who have been faithful in the shadows will be called into the open, not by man's invitation, but by heaven's command. Yet the unmasking is not only an act of judgment, it is also the prelude to a new beginning. For when the false is removed, there is room for the true to rise. When the counterfeit is exposed, the genuine can shine without obstruction. The kingdom that crumbles makes way for the kingdom that stands. The night that strips away the disguise also clothes the revealed in new garments. Think of Mordecai, once overlooked, clothed in royal robes after Haman's fall. Think of Joseph, once a prisoner, dressed in fine linen after the truth of his wisdom was unveiled. Think of you, walking into the dawn after the night has lifted every mask that was never meant to cover your face. And so this night will not pass quietly. It will end with the sound of chains hitting the ground, with the tearing of false banners, with the collapse of thrones built on deception. But it will also end with the crowning of those who were hidden, the elevation of those who were humble, the restoration of what was stolen. The unmasking is the necessary storm before the clear sky, the breaking of the shell before the birth, the shaking of the tree before the harvest is gathered. And when the night is over, the landscape will look different, because the faces you see will be the true faces, the voices you hear will be the true voices, and the paths you walk will be the true paths. Everything will change this night, because this night is the night of the unmasking. The call to stand ready. There are nights when history is written in silence, when the world shifts while men sleep, and then there are nights like this, when the air itself seems to speak, when the moment demands that you rise, for to remain seated is to be left behind. This is the call to stand ready. It is not the call of comfort, nor the invitation to watch from a safe distance. It is the voice that speaks at the edge of the battlefield, summoning soldiers to their posts, sounding the trumpet that breaks the stillness before the march begins. To stand ready is to understand that the night will not wait for you. The unmasking has taken place, the false has fallen, the veil has been lifted. What comes next will move with the swiftness of a flood, and if you are not set in your place, you will be swept away. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a position. It is the stance of one whose feet are planted, whose eyes are open, whose spirit is awake, whose hands are free from the chains of hesitation. For this night will not only reveal, it will require. The call to stand ready is woven through the stories of the ancient days. It was spoken to the Israelites on the eve of the Passover. Have your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat in haste. Be ready to move. It was spoken to Gideon's 300 before the jars were broken and the trumpets sounded. It was spoken to the virgins waiting for the bridegroom, and only those who had oil in their lamps entered when the door opened. Readiness has always been the dividing line between those who step into the promise and those who watch it pass them by. You can be in the right place at the right time and still miss the moment if you are not ready when it comes. To stand ready is not to live in fear of what might happen, it is to live in expectation of what will happen. The difference is this: fear makes you hide, but expectation makes you prepare. The one who fears the storm boards up their windows. The one who expects the rain digs channels for the water to flow. Tonight is not a night for hiding. It is a night for preparation, for gathering your strength, for sharpening your sword, for fastening your armor, for setting your eyes on the horizon where the first light of dawn will break. The hour is late, but it is not yet over. The call still rings out. Stand ready. Readiness is not only about what you hold, it is also about what you release. You cannot stand ready while clinging to the weights of yesterday. The chains of regret, the baggage of bitterness, the grip of fear, they will slow you when the moment demands that you move. This night is the night to let go. Release what cannot go with you. Lay down what you were never meant to carry. Forgive who you must forgive. Leave behind what you must leave behind. For the road ahead will not wait for you to unpack slowly. It will demand that you step forward without delay. The call to stand ready is also the call to guard your heart and mind. The battle of the night is not only fought with swords and shields, it is fought with truth and deception, with courage and despair, with hope and hopelessness. To stand ready is to refuse the voice that tells you it's too late, that you're not enough, that the moment has passed. Those voices will rise tonight, for they always do when destiny draws near, but readiness is a choice to silence them. It is the decision to hold fast to what you know even when you cannot see what is ahead. The watchmen on the walls stand ready not because the dawn is visible, but because they trust the promise that it will come. In the ancient days, there were those who heard the call but did not respond. When the rain began to fall, they remembered Noah's words, but the ark's door was closed. When the bridegroom came, the foolish virgins ran to find oil, but the door to the feast was shut. When the angel led Peter out of prison, he walked into the night, but those praying for his release could not believe it when he stood at their door. Readiness is not simply praying for change, it is living as if the change has already begun. It is setting the table before the guests arrive. It is planting the seed before the rain falls. It is standing at the threshold before the door opens. Standing ready is not about strength without weakness. It is about faith without wavering. You may still feel the weight of uncertainty, but you do not let it anchor your feet. You may still have questions, but you do not let them close your eyes. You may still feel the tremor of fear, but you do not let it loosen your grip. Readiness is tested not when the sun is shining, but when the night is deep and the way forward is lit by nothing more than the word you have been given. This is that night. The word has been spoken, the pattern has been revealed, the masks have been removed, and now comes the moment to step into the place for which you have been prepared. This readiness is not for you alone. The call to stand ready is also a call to awaken others. The watchman does not keep the warning to himself. He shouts it for the city to hear. There are those around you who are sleeping through the night of change, unaware that the hour has come. Your readiness may be the alarm that wakes them. Your courage may be the light that guides them. Your faith may be the hand that pulls them into the safety of the appointed place. Do not underestimate the weight of your readiness, for in the tapestry of this night, your obedience may be the thread that saves another, and yet readiness is not a permanent state of tension. It is a permanent state of alignment. The one who stands ready does not waste energy on panic. They conserve it for the moment of action. They know that the shout will come, the door will open, the signal will be given, and when it does, they will move. They are not distracted by the noise of the enemy, not lulled by the comfort of routine, not seduced by the lie that tomorrow will be soon enough. They live in the present moment, knowing that the moment is all they have. So tonight, as the call rings out, ask yourself, where are your feet planted? Where are your eyes fixed? Where is your heart anchored? The night will not last forever. The dawn will break. And when it does, the ones who are ready will step into it, while others are still rubbing the sleep from their eyes. Everything you have endured, everything you have waited for, everything you have hoped in it converges here. This is the moment for which you were prepared, the hour for which you were positioned, the night for which you were called. Stand ready, for everything will change this night, and when it does, you must already be on your feet, already at the door, already in motion toward the future that is breaking through the darkness. The crossing over, there comes a moment in every great story when the waiting ends, the preparation is complete. The night reaches its deepest point, and then a step is taken that changes everything. This is the crossing over. It is the moment when you leave one shore for another, when you step out of what has been into what will be, when the season behind you closes forever and the one ahead of you opens without return. All the nights before this night have led you here. The night of turning shifted the current. The pattern of the ancient days confirmed the timing. The unmasking revealed the truth. The call to stand ready positioned you for action. But the crossing over is different. It is not contemplation, it is movement. It is not hope, it is decision. You cannot linger here, for the waters will not stay parted forever, and the door will not remain open for all time. To cross over is to choose. To stay is also to choose. And tonight, the choice will be made. In the ancient days, the crossing over was always a threshold between bondage and freedom, between wilderness and promise, between exile and homecoming. The Israelites crossed the Red Sea on dry ground while the waters stood like walls beside them. But only those who stepped forward saw the miracle under their feet. Years later, their children crossed the Jordan at flood stage, the priests standing in the middle while the nation passed through, carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Ruth crossed from Moab into Bethlehem, leaving behind her old life to walk into a lineage she could not yet see. Even the Messiah crossed over from the glory of heaven into the suffering of earth, from death into life, from the grave into the garden of resurrection. And tonight, the same God who commanded those crossings is calling you to your own. The way has been opened, the barriers have been lifted, the waters have moved, but you must step into them. The crossing over is never without risk. The sea still roars, the river still rushes, the unknown still lies ahead. The shore behind you may be familiar, even if it is barren. The place ahead may be foreign, even if it is promised. And so the temptation will be to delay, to tell yourself you will cross tomorrow, when the waters are calmer, when the path is clearer, when your courage is stronger. But the crossing over does not wait for your comfort. It waits only for your obedience. The waters will not part while you stand on the bank with folded arms. They part when your foot touches them. The dawn will not come while you stand behind the door. It comes when you step through. Faith is not a feeling you wait for. It is the step you take in spite of the feeling. Crossing over also means leaving behind what cannot come with you. The Israelites could not carry Egypt into the promised land. The manna of the wilderness did not cross with them into the fields of Canaan. Old mindsets, old fears, old names, old alliances, they will weigh you down in the waters. The crossing over requires a shedding. It demands that you travel light, not because the journey is without provision, but because the new land has its own. What served you in the past will not serve you there. What protected you in the desert will hinder you in the place of harvest. This is why so many hesitate at the threshold, because letting go feels like loss until you see what lies ahead. But no one who crosses over looks back wishing they had stayed, for the shore behind them holds nothing compared to the land before them. And yet the crossing over is not for you alone. In the ancient crossings, one person's step often made the way for many. When Moses raised his staff, the sea opened for an entire nation. When the priest stepped into the Jordan, the waters stopped for all the tribes of Israel. When Esther crossed the threshold into the king's presence, the fate of her people turned. Tonight, your crossing may be the answer to someone else's prayer. Your courage may be the bridge they walk across. Your obedience may be the key that unlocks their door. Do not think of this as a solitary act, for in the economy of God, no crossing is ever just for the one who makes it. The enemy of your soul will always oppose the crossing over. Pharaoh's chariots pursued Israel into the sea. The giants stood in CAHN to intimidate the spies. The accusers plotted in the courts of Persia to stop Esther. The storm rose on the lake when the disciples were crossing to the other side. And tonight, there may already be voices, distractions, obstacles rising to make you turn back. But the waters you see ahead of you are not a barrier, they are a pathway disguised. The storm that rises is not a sign to retreat, it is proof that the other side is worth reaching. Resistance is often the strongest when the breakthrough is closest. The crossing over is also a covenant moment. In the ancient days, crossings often came with memorial stones stacked by the Jordan to remind future generations of what God had done, altars built on the far side to mark the place of deliverance. Tonight, when you cross over, do not forget to mark it. Write it down, speak it aloud, tell it to those who come after you. For this night will not only be your story, it will be their inheritance. The generations that follow will walk in the freedom you secure tonight, will eat from the vineyards you plant, will rest under the shade of the trees you water. Your crossing will echo beyond your lifetime. And know this, the crossing over is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of the promise. The Israelites still had battles to fight after the Jordan. Ruth still had fields to glean before she met her Redeemer. The disciples still had a cross to carry after they left the shore. But the crossing over is the definitive point after which there is no return. It is the moment that closes the book on one life and opens the chapter on another. It is the point of no return, and it is glorious because once you step into it, the night begins to give way to dawn. So tonight the invitation stands, the waters are open, the door is before you, the call has been sounded. The shore you have known will not hold you much longer, for it was never meant to be your home. The place you are going was written into your story before you took your first breath. This is not a coincidence, not a random shift, not a mere turn of events, it is the appointed hour. The moment when the currents change, when the invisible hand moves, when destiny and obedience meet in a single step. Everything before this night has prepared you for this crossing, and when you take it, everything will change, not because the land is different, but because you will be. Step forward. Do not wait for the waters to still, they are meant to be walked through as they are. Do not wait for the fear to vanish, it will vanish when you move. Do not wait for another sign, the parted waters are sign enough. Cross over, leave the past behind, take the step. For when the night is over and you stand on the other shore, you will look back and see the truth. The real miracle was not that the waters moved, it was that you did. And everything changed this night because you crossed over.